Hello, this is Julius from Basic Financials. This video is going to be finally about how to do a tax claim for job expenses if you're employed. It's been a while coming and it's not easy to find out how to do it, which is probably why people have asked me how to do a walkthrough. So there's a number of ways of doing it. I'm going to show you one way, but through this point or this process, you'll be able to see some of the other ways of doing it. Now, the first thing to do, it took me a long time to find where to get to, but I found if you go into your Google search or whatever search you're doing and put in, I'm just going to say, check if you can claim job expenses. I should explain that my keyboard is, my screen is white on black because I don't see very well, which is also why I'm taking a little while to type things in. It just helps me to see it on high contrast, so yours won't look quite like this, but it's exactly the same really. It's just I've got things bigger and white on black. Right, claim tax relief for your job expenses. We're looking for the Gov website. Always look for that and not something else, because there are plenty of places out there that want to do it for you and charge you 25%, 30% or a third. So I'm going to go straight to this one because it looks like the right one, and it's gov.uk. Let's see what it looks like. Now, even when you're here, you think, oh gosh, wow, we've got loads of things to read. How do you actually do it still? And you'll get to the end and you still won't actually see where to do it, because you'd think, okay, get to the end, it'll now say now claim. Well, it doesn't. So have a little look through here, and what you need to try and look for is to check if you can claim. I still can't see it at the moment. Where is it? Check, there it is. It's in quite big writing, but that's my eyesight for you. Check if you can claim. You can have a read of these things because it will tell you some things about what you're going to do, and it is important to make sure you're getting it right. I'm not going to try and go through what you can claim here. I'm going to this is the process of actually doing it. The other videos I've got to say a little bit about what you can claim, and if you read this information, which is quite extensive, it will tell you what you can actually claim and what you can't. I'm going to go through this bit at the moment because this will take you to the right process for actually claiming. Now, another important thing is you need to have a government gateway account set up, or a personal tax account where you have a login and a password. If you haven't got one already, it doesn't matter because you can do it through during this process, but it does help if you've got one already. But as I say, you can do it, so don't worry. Right, so I'm going to go into check if you can claim, and it will ask you through various questions. We're claiming it for myself. What does that say? Are you claiming for expenses after the 5th of April? So if you were doing it before that, well, you wouldn't be able to because you've passed the timeline. You've got 4 years to do it basically. So we're going to say yes because it's for years after that. You can do it for more than 1 year. I'm going to do it for just 1 year in this, but did you pay tax? And this is important because if you didn't pay any tax for the tax year, you wouldn't have anything claim back because you've got to have paid tax. Remember, you're only claiming tax relief. You're not claiming your job expenses back from HMRC. There's no reason why they would pay you them back. Your employer might, but if they don't pay you, then you're claiming tax relief for what you've incurred the cost on. So we're saying, yes, we did pay tax here, so we can. Do you complete self-assessment tax returns? This is another question which shows you which way to claim. Because if you say yes here, and you do, you would be claiming it through your tax return, not through this process. This is what's called a Form P87 online. But this is, if you do tax returns, it's fairly easy to do it on your employment pages of your tax return. But here we're going to say no, because we don't complete a tax return. Are you claiming expenses more of 2,500 or more? If you are, you can't do it online form. I think you can still do a paper version of it. So you fill out, print it off and send it off by post, I think. But read the things that it says. But I'm going to say claiming expenses of 2,000 or more. So no, we're not. In a single tax year. No, we're not. Has your employer paid back all your work-related expenses? If they had done, you wouldn't need to be claiming tax relief because you haven't had any costs because your employer's paid all the money back to you. So it's the employer that's had the cost, not you. If you're only claiming back where the employer hasn't paid you back some or all of the cost. So we're going to say no, he hasn't or she hasn't. Let's select the expenses you want to claim. So working from home, this is quite common at the moment. So if you're working from home because of COVID or any other reason, you would tick this box to say, yes, you're claiming that back. I'm not going to do that for this one. Uniform, work clothing and tools. Now in this particular one, I'm going to say yes, because I am going to. Vehicles you use for work. This is important because if your employer, you might use your own vehicle. If your employer only, for example, pays you back 25 pence a mile, you can actually make an additional claim because HMRC allow you to claim back 45 pence a mile. So you could actually claim back the difference between what you can claim, like 45 pence a mile for the first 10,000 business miles. And if your employer only pays you 25p, then you can claim back the difference. So we're going to say yes, because that is the case in this one. Travel and overnight expenses. Yes, we do, because that includes things like accommodation, hotels, food. This is when your employer, again, if your employer doesn't pay you back. So we're going to say yes. Professional fees. If you're a member of a professional organisation, for example, like you're a chartered engineer and you pay a subscription for your annual membership, you'd be claiming it here, unless, again, your employer pays you back. If they don't, I'm not going to be doing it for this one. Buying other equipment. So probably yes for this one. If you're buying things for your, like a computer or something like that, or well, anything like that. I'm going to say yes, and then also other expenses. Well, I'm going to include that just in case, because I think there will be. And then we'll continue. Okay. Are you claiming tax relief for more than 5 different jobs? Now, that's quite a lot of jobs, but you might have that over the period that you're claiming for. But in our circumstances, we're going to say no. We're actually 2 in this one, but that's less than 5, so I'm going to say no. Continue. Right, so great. You know that now you can, because you've answered those relevant questions there, you've got through to the bit where you can actually claim using this online job expenses form. So we're going to go ahead, claim your expenses online. Right. Yes, have a look through these. I'm not going to spend too much time looking through it because I've done so in the past and I know that I need to go on, but do have a look at it. It gives you information. Importantly, gather all of your information. It's important that you do that. Well, it's not important that you do it, but it's very helpful if you do it. If you're looking around for lots of information at the same time as trying to do this form, it's a nightmare. So try and get everything you need together, like your employer references, your employer names and addresses, your details like your national insurance number, you'll know your date of birth hopefully, and then things like all the expenses you're claiming back. Try and get it all ready. The mileage that you've done, you'll need to know the total mileage you've done and how much is being repaid to you by your employer, if anything, and then you'll be able to make it much easier if you've got it all together. Right, this is just saying about doing it by post if you can't use this. I want to get to the point. I don't want to do. Oh, you can claim this. This bit tells you how you can do it in other ways. So do have a look through this, because there's a bit here which says about doing it by phone if your expenses are less than 1,000. You can only do the online one, I think, if it's less than 2,500. Might be easier to do it by phone, maybe not at the moment because it takes ages to get through. But have a look through this, because it does tell you how you can do it. So as you can see, there are a number of ways of actually making a claim, but we're going to claim by the online form, which is here. Claim using the online. And I know I pressed it already, but you've got to press it again. This is why sometimes it's a bit complicated and you get lost, because you have to do things twice and you go around in circles. But anyway, here we are. Right, this is the bit where you have to, if you've already got a login, you put in your login details and sign in. That you'll have to get, you'll get a telephone code. But if you haven't got one, you can create one here. But I've got one, so I'm going to put in my details. I'll be back with you in a minute once that's done and I'm logged in. So I'll see you again in a minute. Okay, so we've logged into the tax account, or government gateway account, and here we are with tax relief for expenses of employment. Right, now I haven't seen this before, because I normally do tax returns for people, so I normally do it through that method, so you're going to have to bear with me if I take a bit of time, but start now. Did say before you start, but I'm pretty sure I'm okay with it. Right, previous claims. Have you previously claimed tax relief on your employment expenses? I think the reason they do that is because if you find that you've got more later on that you want to claim for, you can go in and do it again. You still have to include what you've included previously, but they need to know that you've done it. So, but we haven't, so we say no. Save. Okay, this page here is asking you to fill out all your personal details, like your national insurance number, your address, your telephone number. Those are the things you want to have all ready. You make sure, if you haven't got your national insurance number, get it ready. And then I'm going to fill these in and then come back to you after I've done that. So I'll see you soon. Okay, I've filled out the personal details. I've clicked Save and Continue, and now we're on to the next screen. Here's where you can select the tax years you're claiming now. You can, as you see, you can go back quite a long way, but we're going to be doing it. Yeah, actually, you can do the current year as well, because then they'll but obviously it might change before you get to when you get to the end of the year. So not sure how good that is, but I'm going to be doing it for this year, which is the tax year just gone previously. Save and continue. This indicates to me that if you get halfway through and you're tired, you need a break, it looks to me like you'd be able to log in again and carry on where you left off, which is quite useful. You don't have to finish it all off in one go. Right, we're going to save and continue. Okay, your employer. All right, this is where you put in your employer's name and PAYE references. So again, I'm just going to scroll down and see what. Yeah. So you're going to need the PAYE reference, so that's important. So hopefully you've gathered that information. Job title. Yep, and then you can carry on after that. Okay, so I'll come back to you when I've done that. Okay, so I've clicked Save and Continue, and this is where it takes you through to the expenses that you want for. This is for the first employer. So what do we got? This asks you what expenses you're going to claim back. Flat rate expenses. We're not going to claim anything back now. Some industries, for example, if you're a policeman or a policewoman, I think you get £160 laundry allowance if you've got for laundering your uniform. But that's a flat rate expense that HMRC have agreed, and it means you don't have to look for, you don't have to keep records of it. If your laundry bill is much more than that, say if you've got a laundry bill of 200, you wouldn't want to claim that, you'd want to claim back the 200 instead. But this saves you a bit of work if you want to claim back that. I'm not going to do that here, so I'm going to say no. Save and continue. Taxi, yeah, let's just check that. Using your own vehicle. Yes, we do want to do for this one. Do you want to claim for relief? So basically this is for mileage in your own vehicle, but for business work where you haven't been reimbursed anything or the whole amount, i.e. 45 pence a mile, by your employer. So I'm going to say yes. Okay, now what type of vehicle are we claiming for? We're claiming for a car. Save and continue. Right, okay, so what we're doing for the car, and this is where it wants the total number of miles that you're claiming for. So I look to my records and see that it's 326. This is business miles, not total miles including private, it's just purely your business trips. So 326. Right, so this is already calculated that at 45 pence a mile, you can claim back £146.70. So it's already done that bit for you. I'm going to save and continue. Okay. Have you received any mileage allowance payments from your employer? Well, yes, in this case we have. We've received it at 25 pence a mile. But we haven't received a whole lot, so we'd be able to claim back the difference. So I'm going to say yes. And then amount of mileage allowance relief you... Okay. So this is going to say how much we've actually received. Please, allowance relief, you'll have to pay tax whatsoever. If your employer pays you more, oh yeah, well that's not a problem. Mileage allowance received, you're going to check my records. And it is £81.50p. It's £81.50p. So that's the miles at 25 pence a mile. We're going to save. Oh, let's see, if I click on that, it should come back. So this is the amount we're going to be claiming. I'll just check that that ties up with what I'm thinking. Yep, £65.20. So we're claiming tax relief on £65.20 of business miles. Right, save and continue. Fuel expenses. Right, this isn't going to be applicable for this particular example from a company car, so we're not going to. Do you want to claim? No, I don't. So all mine was to do with business miles. Save and continue. Right, travel and overnight expenses. So in other words, if you're staying in accommodation somewhere and you've also got food and things like that. So do you want to claim tax relief for expenses from business journeys? Yes, we do. Travel and overnight expenses. Where you stayed. Oh gosh, where you stayed. Right, that's a bit tricky, isn't it? It could be all over the place, but right, is this a frequent business trip? Total expenses spent. Right, I'm going to say where you stayed. Okay, so other travel costs. So if you were going on business trips and you had to stay in accommodation, you'd be able to potentially claim for costs of food and accommodation. I'm not going to do it for this particular employment. The only thing for this employment I'm claiming for is that mileage. So I'm going to say no and say save and continue. Professional fees, that's what I was saying about, like if you were a chartered engineer, well, we're not doing anything there, but if you did, you'd put it there and you'd be putting the amount in. What's that? Medical expenses and courses. No, we're not doing anything there. You might have things, but have a read through it and this will tell you the things you might be able to claim for. Using your home as an office. We talked a little bit about at the beginning. I'm not doing that here, but people probably will at the moment. Save and continue. other allowable expenses. Do you want to claim any tax relief on other allowable expenses? I'm not going to here, but you might do. And if you click yes, I imagine some other options will come up for the different types of expenses you might be claiming for. I'm not going to do that here. Save and continue. Have you received any general expense allowances from your employer? So if you got any, like a travel allowance from your employer or something for your phone maybe, you might be putting things in here. I'm going to be saying no because we haven't got anything like that. Right, this tells you what your total expenses are. In this one, remember it was only the difference between the mileage at 45p and 25p a mile, so it's not very much for this employment. But that tells you there what your total is. Check it to what you think it should be once you've done all your employments. And then we'll go from there, save and continue. That's correct for this particular employment. Right, total expense claimed. Okay, so this is you. If you'd only got that employment, you would at this point be clicking save and continue, and then it would ask you where you want your money to go, and you enter your bank details, or you can say you want it to be by cheque, I think, but it's probably better to have it paid straight into your bank. So you enter your bank details and you submit, and then you're all done. Right, I'm going to go ahead and do another employment, and you might want to do the same, in which case you would click this, add another employment. You could actually do another year as well from here for the existing employment, but I'm going to be doing another employer. So I'm going to leave you now. If you find that you carry on doing things and you come across things that I haven't covered here, which is quite possible because I've only done a bit here, but hopefully I found that the biggest thing was getting to this stage. So once you've got to this stage, hopefully you'll be able to get there. I hope it's all helped, but do leave some comments and questions in the boxes below, and I will do my very best to get back to you and answer them. I can't necessarily promise I'll be able to, but I will try my best. And I'm also going to be doing another bit myself, so I'll have a little bit more experience of it. So I might have some answers to your questions if you've got any. Anyway, good. Okay, we're back again, and we've done the claim. And the one thing I wanted to say is when we got to the end bit, I was saying about putting in your bank details. Well, it didn't give you that option in this circumstances. It said about where do you want to send a payable order, which is a cheque, to, is it UK or not UK? So we just said the UK. So basically they're not going to put it straight into your bank. They'll send you a cheque. I think that's it. I forgot to say, if you like and subscribe as usual, and as I say, if you have any questions or comments, please leave them in the box below, and I'll see you again for another video soon. Thanks for listening.